Welcome to State of Tech. My name's Jared, and today we are going to do the review of this beast of a laptop. This is the ASUS ROG STRIX laptop. It's the 15.5-inch-ish laptop, and I did an unboxing and kind of an initial thoughts video about a week and a half ago, and I've had time to spend intensively on this laptop. I actually just got back from a 5-day trip to New York where I was filming and taking pictures and doing a lot of editing and uploading all in a short time frame. So I needed something that was just powerful. And then when I wasn't actually on the computer, it was uploading files to the cloud. And so this computer definitely got a workout in the last week and a half. Now, as I stated in my initial thoughts and unboxing of this laptop, I primarily was going to use it for video editing and for photography, for editing photos and stuff like that. I'm not much of a gamer. I don't typically play games, and any of the games that I do play definitely wouldn't require a whole lot of horsepower inside of a machine. However, this laptop does get you street cred simply because just people see it, and if they know what they're looking at, they know that you have a very powerful laptop. Even the guy that I had to pull the laptop out at for TSA, they had to run a little swab around it, and he was just asking, he's like, "You don't game with this, do you?" Because I guess I don't look like I would game with this. And he knew what this laptop was. So this laptop definitely has a lot of people talking about it. Not a lot of people have seen this particular model because it's obviously pretty brand new, but it has street cred already out there in the world of gaming, I could tell. So my initial thoughts on this laptop was that it was just a powerhouse. I mean, I started in right away doing a little bit of video editing, exporting some stuff, and I mean, it was extremely fast. Now, I built a desktop PC, a very powerful one for video editing, and this can hang with that. This laptop right here can render out video, not quite as fast as my PC, which has a GTX 1080 in it, but this has a GTX 1070 in it, so this is not much slower as far as GPU than what I have in my tower. The only thing that my tower definitely has more of is processing and RAM. This laptop has a solid state, a PCIe NVMe hard drive in it. I also did end up swapping out the 1 terabyte spinner drive that came as a secondary drive for a solid state drive, a SATA 3 drive. And so I have, 256 of NVMe boot drive, and then I also have just shy of a terabyte of secondary drive on this laptop. So, I mean, all in all, this laptop is a beast as far as the specs go, and I've listed those for you. There's also a link in the description below where you can go check this laptop out on Amazon, where they have more information about it. I don't want to get too into the specs because to me, it's not about the specs, it's about the performance. And those of you who have been, watching reviews on laptops or desktops or PC parts, GPUs, CPUs, or whatever, you know that it comes down to the actual use case and the combination of pieces that you have together. It's not just about specs, and so I don't want to focus too much on specs. What I want to focus on is build quality of this laptop and performance, and then how usable it was to me. So let me start off first by its just overall usability. Now, it's a pretty big laptop, and laptops like this are pretty large. They've got a lot going on under the hood with all of the beefy parts inside of it. It can't be a small kind of discrete laptop. It is a big laptop or notebook, whatever you want to call it. And it's plasticky, and that's different for me because I've been on a MacBook Pro for so long, and then other laptops that I've had have been aluminum kind of unibody style laptops. They're much more rigid. I don't have to worry about them getting damaged or anything like that. It's just they're stronger, more durably built machines. Now with this, I had a problem because, I also, coming from a Mac, I'm used to just closing the lid, it automatically goes into sleep mode, and it can exist like that for a couple of days on a battery charge. With PCs, you typically have to set them up a little bit differently to operate like that, so I did. But when I close the laptop lid, if the laptop moves around too much, I believe it flexes a little bit, and it comes out of sleep mode, and then it will just run inside of my backpack. Now, the first time this happened, I was really kind of scared because I opened up my backpack and I felt the heat come out and hit me in the face. And I pulled the laptop out and it was hot. I mean, really hot. Like, I've never had a laptop be that hot before, and I was kind of frightened. It was still running. It had like 5% battery left, so it was about to die off anyways. But it came out of sleep mode on its own inside my backpack. So at first I was like, okay, well, that's weird. I kind of blew it off as just a random happenstance. But it happened 2 more times. And my only understanding is that somehow just the laptop flexing, because it's an entirely plastic laptop with, of course, everything that's inside of it, is that it flexes a little bit and maybe a button or a key gets pressed down or dislodged or something happens and it comes out of sleep mode. And then, of course, it just runs. It doesn't go back into sleep mode. Even though I have it set to go back into sleep mode under battery power, it does not go back into sleep mode, which is really odd. It just continues to run and, potentially could be a fire hazard inside of my backpack. Yes, it was that hot. So with that aside, I started just shutting down the PC all the way, which is annoying and frustrating, but shut down the PC all the way, and that seemed to solve the problem. So one of the other problems that I typically had with this device is that if I left it running, like in my hotel room, I would leave it running because it was uploading files to the cloud, and I would come back after maybe an hour or 2 of it having sat there by itself, and it would be on the BIOS screen. Like, the computer would have probably restarted itself for some odd reason, and it would be on the BIOS screen. Now, that's kind of weird. Like, laptops, like computers just in general should not just reboot and be on the BIOS screen. Now, all I would have to do is just exit out of the BIOS screen, let it restart, and it would be back to normal. Everything was fine. This could be a little bit of a fluke that maybe ASUS could take care of with a firmware update, but so far there haven't been any such issues popping up, and it also could be just a general problem with the device that I have. So I don't want to write that off as a defect or a problem with this laptop as a whole. It could be isolated to me. It could be isolated to many other things, but it's a situation that I've been dealing with to the point where it's affected my work. Like, that happened 5 times while I was in New York for 5 days. I would come back to my laptop and it would be on a BIOS screen. Now, that would never happen while it was rendering out video or anything like that. Typically, it would happen when the computer was pretty much at idle and all it was doing was just uploading files to the cloud. But it was frustrating because I would have expected that my files would have been done uploading. However, I come back to the laptop and it's in BIOS mode for whatever reason. So those are some frustrations that I have. I've had to get used to the ergonomics of the laptop, which is a bit different than a MacBook Pro or something like that. Obviously, there's a full-size keyboard on this laptop with a keypad, a number pad over on the right-hand side. The trackpad's a little bit different, but it is really responsive and it works really well. It has lots of gesture movements built in that I was familiar with being a Mac user, which of course are now native type of things that Windows 10 has. Overall, the experience with the laptop has been really good. The performance has been outstanding. Anytime that I've needed to render out video, it's been fast and powerful, and I've been able to actually render out video while doing other tasks on the laptop, which I could never do with my MacBook Pro and other laptops that are comparable to the power of that MacBook Pro. Usually you're rendering out video, and it pretty much kills your ability to do anything else on the computer. So, this laptop is very powerful. It's just there are some shortcomings in its build quality, I think, that are issues that I'm having. I don't like my laptop to be flexible like this. I like it to be rigid and solid because I'm, taking it on flights and it's in a backpack and I'm all over the place with it. And I need my laptop I need to feel secure in the fact that my laptop is going to be safe. I've had to power this thing down many times, probably about 20 times I've had to power it all the way down. And I probably hadn't powered down my MacBook Pro 20 times in a year, maybe even 2 years. I never power down my MacBook Pro. So it's just a new thing that I would have to deal with. Everybody that saw this it's a head turner. People were not, and I wasn't in a gaming, environment where everybody that was around me would recognize this as a gaming laptop. Some people did, but people would stop and look at this laptop, and it's because it is kind of shiny. It has, these kind of fluorescent orange accents on it, and the design on the back on the panel here, it lights up, and it's really nice. It's a very appealing laptop, and people aren't used to seeing something like this, especially when you're in more of like a business setting where people are either using a MacBook or like a ThinkPad or something like that. This just sticks out like a sore thumb. So overall, it did really well. Despite the fact that it is a super powerful laptop, the battery life is surprisingly long. It does last quite a long time on the battery life. I was pleasantly surprised that this particular model, it is a 16 gigabyte model, but it comes with a 16 gigabyte chip in there. And for around $100, you can buy a second one and double your RAM to 32 gigabytes, which is great. I mean, that's, for me, I like to have that extra performance with my RAM. 16 gigs is generally pretty good and enough for most gaming situations. But if you want to, have some different applications going on at the same time, even if you want to leave some stuff running in the background while you're gaming, it's good to have a little bit of extra RAM. Now, the processor performance on this laptop is great. It's very comparable to anything else that comes with processors in the similar range. I wasn't super impressed with its performance using Adobe Lightroom. In ingesting images, which my process is to copy and convert images into DNG format using Adobe Lightroom. And Adobe Lightroom supposedly uses GPU to assist. I don't think Lightroom uses too much of the GPU to assist, because if that was the case, this thing should chew through files and spit them out like crazy. And that really wasn't the case. I didn't find that this laptop was any faster than my MacBook Pro. In fact, I found in some cases that it was slightly slower than my 2.5-year-old MacBook Pro when it came to Adobe Lightroom performance. Now, that's Adobe Lightroom, and of course, if Adobe Lightroom is more CPU and RAM, like most other applications, then overall, like average use performance, you're not really gonna expect much more performance out of this laptop than you would anything else. What you buy this laptop for is the GPU performance, because it has a GTX 1070 in it, and that is a monster GPU for a notebook or a laptop. So where this laptop actually is going to shine is for gaming, which is of course what it's created for. It's created for gaming, or for video editing if you're a video editor and you want something with tons of power. This thing murdered the MacBook Pro when it came to editing out video. I would edit out a video that was, 5 or 6 minutes long, and it would take 3 or 4 minutes to render it out, whereas the MacBook Pro would take 20 to even 30 minutes to render out the exact same file. It's crazy how much faster this is than the MacBook Pro. Now, granted, the MacBook Pro is 2.5 years old, so we're going to give it that, but Apple hasn't really updated much as far as the MacBook Pro goes. So if anybody was asking me, like, Jared, I'm a video editor, what should I buy? And I want a laptop or a notebook, what should I get? I would say hands down, you need to get something like this that has a nice GPU inside of it, because that's what's going to get you through the crazy amounts of time that other computers would take to process those types of video files. Now, as far as gaming goes, I have friends that game, and we've talked exhaustively about the performance of what this laptop would be in gaming, and you just have to know, a GTX 1070, you can go look at the benchmarks that everybody else has posted. This laptop is going to slaughter with games. It's just going to be amazing performance with games. My concept here is coming to you with what is its performance with the types of things that I use it for: video editing, photo editing, average application use, such as, Chrome with lots of tabs left opened, and email and calendar and Word and lots of other applications like that. But primarily the heavy use is with Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Lightroom and some Adobe Photoshop usage. And in Premiere Pro, hands down, video editing, this will slaughter anything else that I have touched. XPS 15 from Dell, this will slaughter it. A P50 from a ThinkPad from Lenovo, this would slaughter it. The GPU performance is where it has it. There are not many computers out there right now that you can get desktop architecture GPUs in them. This is one of them, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to get my hands on it and try it. So now that I've talked up its GPU performance, which, like I said, go look at the specs. I don't need to talk more about how fast a GTX 1070 is as far as performance goes. But overall, as a laptop that you would take places with you, that you would expect to be, durable and rigid, like this is not that. This is a decently priced, high performance laptop that is made for gaming. It's made for being like on a table or something while you game or do whatever, or video edit or something like that. It's not super durable to be carried around and lugged around and to be super useful in those instances. I just think that there would be more safeguards in place, that ASUS would have spent some more time thinking about that. ASUS has other laptops that are more rigid, that are more durable for those types of environments and situations. And I think this was just made to be a monster tabletop mobile solution, and that is exactly what they achieved. So for me, it's not going to completely do it for me because of those issues, because for some odd reason it reboots itself into BIOS mode. For some odd reason it can't manage to stay asleep for its life until it's burned up my backpack and its own battery. So there, in those situations, I can't trust it, because if I have a full charge on my laptop and I arrive and I need to do some work and it's got a dead battery and I don't have somewhere to plug in, then I'm screwed, because the laptop for whatever reason came out of sleep mode or it did whatever. If I'm in the middle of an edit and for some reason it decides to reboot and go into BIOS mode, like that's a problem for me, because maybe I didn't have my work saved completely. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't physically watched it go into BIOS mode yet, but I've seen it go into BIOS mode many times. I've walked back into the room, it's in BIOS mode. I've came back after an hour of letting it sit there, it's in BIOS mode. It just never fails that for some reason it ends up in BIOS mode. It's just probably something that might be fixed, but right now it's a problem for me. So who is this laptop for? Well, it's definitely for a gamer who wants something with a lot of power, that's mobile, that's not a monster. Like, this is a big laptop, but it's not as big as some of the other laptops that have this kind of performance inside of it. Most of those laptops are significantly bigger than this. This laptop also comes in a 17-inch flavor. It's a little bit bigger, but it has basically the same internals inside of it. It's just a bit bigger. The display I really wish was higher resolution. It's definitely a good resolution for gaming, being an HD display, but having been used to like a Retina display on a MacBook Pro, and then, even 4K displays and stuff like that, it would have been nice to at least have, double the resolution like the MacBook Pro, like the iMac that we have, although the newer iMacs are 5K. It would have been nice to have a bit more resolution. But nonetheless, this is a fantastic laptop. So if you're a video editor and you're looking for something that's extremely powerful, this is definitely it. Now, I think there's a possibility that my BIOS-related issues are just this laptop. And if it is an issue, I'm sure there will be software updates. As a matter of fact, that ding that just came through is that there are software updates to run. And who knows, ASUS is probably working on those things. But those things aside, which could be just problems that I'm having because of my lifestyle, my usage, the way that I use these machines, and just my current situation, this laptop is a monster. And to be completely honest, if I had had this laptop before I built my PC, I might even consider just having this laptop, because though my PC that I've built has a bit more performance than this, my PC is stuck to wherever I put it. It is at my desk, and I cannot move it unless I want to go through a whole host of issues taking it from one place to the other. Whereas this here has a ton of horsepower, it's a decent looking laptop, it has good battery life, it has a ton of hard drive space in it because I upgraded the drive, and it had a 1 terabyte spinner in it to begin with. It is a monster, and it's not that expensive. Currently under $1,700 for what you're getting here is something crazy powerful. It costs a lot less than a MacBook Pro, and you're going to get a ton more performance out of it. Probably even a ton more performance than the MacBook Pro as soon as they refresh it in the coming months. Definitely is a laptop I can get behind and recommend. So Check out the links in the description below. If you have any questions about the laptop, please ask them in the comments section. And if you have any thoughts or input, or maybe you have this laptop and you want to share your thoughts as well, especially if you come from a gaming background and you bought this laptop to game from, I'd love for you to chime in, just because I know people are going to be interested in hearing that perspective. I didn't have that perspective to offer. All I have is my video editing and photography perspective use cases for this laptop, but nonetheless, it's a monster. Go check it out for sure. Click on that link in the description below, and if you have any questions, please ask. Make sure to subscribe to our channel here on State of Tech, because we do lots of reviews like this. We have tips and tricks for mobile phones, iPhone, Android, all sorts of different stuff, and we love for you to be able to be notified when those are dropped. So make sure to click on that subscribe button. We hope to see you soon here on State of Tech. Thanks again.